Good evening, Nigeria. Welcome to Updated Pressures. Always a delight to bring on an update of Matadem with Shelley for inside the country. Sincere apologies for keeping you waiting. We had some technical issue and we had to correct them very quickly. So, welcome and thank you so much for joining us. Another beautiful day to talk matter we get to do with Nigeria and as it get to affect our country. And guess who my guest is today? Well, it's a Thursday, so you can already imagine who my guest is. All right, but before I bring my guest come inside the box, make I sharply bring on a matter the way they share. Wait oh, so Canada get mind like this with their full chest, then get mind like this for their pizza chopping mouth, carry Nigeria, a whole leading party of Nigeria, APC, and the former leading party PDP call them terrorist organization. How can this even happen? So Canadian court declares APC, PDP terrorist organizations. This denies asylum to fleeing Nigerian politicians. Haba. How, if you don't want to give up asylum, don't give up. How you gonna say we'll be terrorist organization? But let's get straight to other conversations very quickly. So Moko entered matter the way they grant now. After spending how much again? Wanna say wanna spend? And they come to that matter. After spending 21 billion naira, 21 billion naira to repair Third Mainland Bridge. Federal government don't budget fresh 3.6 or 3.8 trillion naira for another repair of Third Mainland Bridge. This time around, they say that the underwater get problem. Hey, now so we go there. Who do us this kind of thing? Now waiting people they talk. How come when they were fixing it before they did not realize that the underwater may have issues? Well, this now one of the matter we'll also look at. Tinubu deserves credit for stabilizing the economy. Next step is to grow it. Okonjo Iweala talks. People don't they use and they mock Peter Obi and obedient to say, woo. When I see Okonjo Iweala, they hail Tinubu saying reforms they very good and sound. When I see woo, that's what they mock people. But we'll get to that conversation. Nigerian lawmakers pay up to 3 million naira bribe to present motions, bills at National Assembly. This, according to gossip, we say Jigawa House of Representative member carry come out. In case you don't understand, say for you to present bill, may your bill come out. You go pay bribe of 3 million naira. 3 million naira bribe. Okay, oh, make we go to another matter. 2027, opposition must unite to take back Nigeria. Atiku Abubakar Nine Tokam. Nigeria accounts for 70% of illegal arms in West Africa. That is, they say about 11 million illegal arms in West Africa. And 70% of them dey for Nigeria alone. Nigeria alone. Hey. Okay, make we go to another matter. Man, I know the talk say they carry news too much. Council poll. APC vows to capture all local government areas in River State. By the way, that local government election, when they know the talk say, is they illegal or may they no do them? Is they illegal, may they no do them? But sole administrator, they go ahead to do the local government polls. And guess what? President Bola Ahmed Tinubu don't amend the River State reset laws to accommodate and give space for the sole administrator to go ahead and conduct such elections. Well, all this matter them and more now carry comfortable to bring fun at the mot this evening. And joining me for inside the studio now, Dr. Katch Ononuju. Dr. Katch, thank you so much for obliging me yet another day. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here with you and your audience.
Thank you,
It's really
sir.
nice to be with you all.
I wanted to say I love the twinkle in your eyes and the smile on your lips. And something tells me today is going to be a great day. We'll have a great conversation.
Whatever it is, whatever you want it to be, it shall be so.
Thank you. So let's start with perhaps not just so great conversation or maybe great conversation. This thing about the Canadian court having the mind to declare our own ruling party. It be like say they no say na APC the rule us on Nigeria. Say APC na terrorist organization. Now, Canadian Federal High Court upheld a landmark immigration tribunal ruling that declared Nigeria's major political parties, the All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party, terrorist organizations, while refusing asylum to a former member, Douglas Egbereva, who over his decade-long affiliation with both parties, because the person don't do APC before, don't do PDP, so they say, bam, 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 na terrorist group na e be. For inside judgment, so they deliver on June 17, 2025, obtained by Gazette, Justice Fuang Ngo dismissed Mr. Egberva's application for judicial review after Canada's Immigration Appeal Division found him inadmissible under security provisions of the Immigration and Refuge Protection Act. Now, the Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness had argued that the PDP and the APC were deeply implicated in acts of political violence, subversion of democracy, and electoral bloodshed, inflicting harm and terror on Nigerians. So because of that one, on a members, make on no seek asylum for what the month. Is that not shocking, sir? Let me take a reaction to this story, sir. Because people would rather say that this is insulting to Nigeria. Go ahead, sir. I don't know if you can still hear me. Go ahead, sir.
Mhm.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, well, I can hear you. What I would say, it's a court that made the pronouncement. It must have been presented and been provided with some which we would need to look at, and then to know in what context are they saying that the political parties are terrorist organizations.
I don't believe.
Well, have
Mm,
the connivance of politicians
mm,
in the terrorism that's going across the country. It's very possible that if a political party is in charge of Sokoto and you now see them cooperating with terrorists, as it is with Bello Turuji, or another political party is in a state or even in states like Yobe State, and the international court, that
mm.
despite the terrorism going on, that the governments in these places look the other way, whereas terrorism goes on. So if you look at the charge of connivance, when Jan Danjuma had been saying that they collude. So if the state apparatus are controlled by politicians, and then it is now stated openly that they collude, security services collude with the terrorists, the judge might have reached his decision from such context and understanding. So let us see, and then on the judges entertain them to now pronounce openly that our political parties have behaved in such a way as to be considered terrorist organizations.
Okay, sir. So, from what they said that because both political parties have been involved, reading from the excerpt of that letter now or that judgment now, they said both the PDP and the APC have been involved in electoral malpractices and violence and electoral violence, causing bloodshed in Nigeria, inflicting harm and terror on Nigerians. And that is why they're designating them as terrorist organizations.
Well, that is also plausible. That is very, very plausible because our electoral processes are nothing short of war, you know, and you can see how the people go total in seizing electoral boxes. Yes, that's terrorism, you know, visiting violence upon the populations that you want to take their votes and then writing results and then telling people to go to court. That is terrorism on its own. So let us see the judgment and we'll be able to deduce from what context did the judge make the pronouncements. I'm sure there will be plausible ways in which that pronouncement can stick. Because what the parties do in Nigeria is very akin to terrorism.
This is very embarrassing anyway. So people are saying that this is very embarrassing. Perhaps the Canadian court did not pay attention to the fact that the one of the parties involved is a ruling party in Nigeria, and it's like saying that the ruling party in Nigeria is a terrorist organization. That means you're calling the government, a terrorist sympathizer generally, and that is huge, especially
Well,
considering the security
you
in Nigeria.
don't forget the processes through which we produce political results. In most cases, are akin to terrorism. What they do voter suppression, that is part of terrorism. So when you can see someone would deploy MCU Lomo and his people, Baba Chukwudi, Mama Chukwudi, all those things are terrorism. When you engage in bigotry, Igbophobia, frightening the people, telling them not to come out to vote if they do, that their lives could not be guaranteed, that is terrorism. So let us see what it is that the judgment is specific upon. Because what you see happened in Lagos, which I think the authority, the party in power does sanction, is terrorism. Voter suppression is terrorism. The protocols employed in Lagos State for the ruling party to gain its result is terrorism. So, it is very far from the reality that we have here on the ground in Nigeria.
Hmm. So, sir, if we now marry this to what Amnesty International has just said, I don't know if you got that report from Amnesty International, where they said that during President Muhammadu Buhari's regime, that over 1,800 Southeasterners were killed during his regime in Nigeria.
Yes, that was known to all of us. Uh, but Buhari came in very angry. First and foremost, when he came in, some people from the north wanted to sue General Nyejirika. They were threatening to take him, that they will sue him to the ICC, that he was very, very harsh in the way he handled the Boko Haram people. Instead of commending him for such soldierly, pursuits in discharge of his duty, they said that that was very harsh. Remember, some politicians were saying that the Boko Haram and other terrorist organizations represented freedom fighters for the North. So President Buhari now thought about the way to revenge against the East. He set up those covert operations, the ones he called Operation Tiger Dance, and then later on, government sting operation, which went on. No arrests were made, nothing. And for you to understand, as Abacha said, that if such violence that happened during the unknown government sting operation persists for more than 48 hours, that the government has a hand in it. So we saw Buhari do that. And that's part of what I say, that we are grateful to President Tinubu. As he came, he stopped the national federal funding of such covert operations like the unknown government sting operation. And that stopped. That is true. Those are things we have known. I have said this repeatedly on television, that those were pure stagings by elements of the Buhari administration. Yes, that is true. And you saw how the Buhari administration also connived with the Fulani militiamen to commit genocide in Kaduna, southern Kaduna, and along the Benue Valley, in the Plateau Highlands, in the Mambila Plains, against the Kaka and the Pansa in Gimbu. You saw how the Bachamas were massacred in Newman, in Adamawa. You saw the one of Benue and Nasarawa continued. And we had to raise our voices for President Tinubu to now tell them to do something. But you also need to understand what President Tinubu traveled to Benue for did not start under Tinubu's administration. It started under Buhari's administration. And they were all strategies to gain land by the Fulani militiamen right from when they were sacked from Central African Republic. And then Buhari came, and there was a 2015 peace agreement in Mali. Instead of President Buhari to join forces with other leaders in West Africa to implement the 2015 peace agreement, no. President Buhari sought to deceive Nigerians with cock and bull stories about agricultural lands and its need as pursued by the government. He brought out, scammy schemes like uh, uh, cows colony. Nigerians rejected it. He came again with issues of grazing reserve. Nigerians rejected it. He was looking for land, and he now talked about things like consolidation of underground and surface water, plus 6 kilometers of embarking land. Nigerians rejected that. And out of those frustrations, it was not decided that the Fulani militia people who were looking for land to resettle the refugees anywhere in Nigeria should now use violence. And that was why they now employed the ethnic cleansings as a strategy to gain land of indigenous people across the north central and parts of southern Nigeria. And you saw that causing people like Sunday Igboho to start to fight when they sought to take over the Oro Oyo Forest Reserve. And you saw the killings in the Briningwari Game Reserve, of course, in places like Anka, Dangobe, in far away in Katsina State. You saw killings in Basari, in Sapana, in Dutsima, in Emusa, in Kankara, places like Kwatarakwashi, stretching through Bungudu to as far through Gusau, going through Talata Mapara to places like Maru, to Anka, to Dangobe, to Dansadau, to as far as Malele. People were being slaughtered just because the Buhari administration were looking for land, ancestral lands, to put these Fulani refugees on. And even when Buhari continued, as we saw, under the Tinubu administration, but right now you've seen the killings in the Plateau and in the Benue basins have not stopped till this day that we speak. So, yes, it is true. Buhari worked up those schemes to seek land. And in doing that, in most places, people were massacred in pogroms. The genocide that sustained dragged on to the Tinubu administration. So, yes, I blame Buhari. The report is very true. Buhari was very guilty of these treasonous killings across the plateau, a lot of the north central, and other parts of southern Nigeria. He is guilty for those slaughterings and also genocide against indigenous people across Nigeria. That report is true about the killings under the Buhari administration.
Hmm. Wow. So yes, true. Amnesty International blames Buhari government for plunging Southeast into bloodshed. That's one of the reports. The other report has it that over 1,800 people killed in Southeast under Buhari, and they are, complaining about it. But I'm wondering why this report did not come out before Buhari's death or why he was in office. Why did he have to speak now?
No, no, that is not true. The reports were known. I think you are wrong. The reports were known. I was speaking to it every day. When the government staged the prison breakout in Owerri, I was there the next 48 hours to speak on channels on AIT, saying that this prison break was carried out by elements of the Buhari administration. They stayed there for 2 hours, 40 minutes, you know, evacuating prisons. It was all government. And right there, you had the SS headquarters there at the area, also behind it was the police headquarters, and also beside that was a government house in Owerri, and also that was the game. You had over 38 different Biafra Nana organizations. A lot of them, majority of them, were pure proxies set up by the government. They don't exist now. The ones that didn't agree to play their game, like Nnamdi Kanu's outfit, was now being smashed. Buhari was really evil. What he did to this country is unspeakable. I believe we deserve a judicial commission of inquiry to actually probe those, because Buhari did not do these things alone. Bichi was the director of the DSS when
Yes.
all this happened. So if President Tinubu does not allow for a judicial commission of inquiry to discover the truth, I don't think that will be very, very fair to the country. The killings did occur everywhere. The killings occurred massively also in the northwest areas. In the Hausa states of Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto, killings were massive. In Kaduna, it was incredible in southern Kaduna. The killings extended to Benue, to Plateau State. It was there in Adamawa State. The killings were heavy in Taraba. Benue sustained till this day. Same thing with Plateau. What Buhari committed as an offense should not be overlooked. And those are part of the reasons we hold Tinubu in condemnation of its pretense as if the killings never occurred. He should set up a judicial commission of inquiry to unearth what happened in those periods. We shall never forget. We will never forget because the killings have not stopped till today. The killings have not stopped till today.
All right. All right, sir. So moving on very quickly. So Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala visited President Bola Ahmed Tinubu today, and do I even speak to that first? I should just speak to this other saga. Maybe after that, to speak to this other issue. Yeah. So Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala visited President Bola Ahmed Tinubu today, and she did have quite a lot to say, even though people are not trolling Peter Obi because of the things she's got to say. But let's just take a listen to her
Good morning.
conclusion
The president
of the
embarked on
conversation.
some reforms at the initial stage of his administration, and now he's told Nigerians that the economy is turning the corner. What's the WTO's perception of Nigeria's economy?
So we think that the president and his team, and we just exchanged with him, have worked hard to stabilize the economy. And you cannot really improve an economy unless it's stable. So he has to be given the credit for the stability of the economy. So the reforms have been in the right direction. What is needed next is growth. We now need to grow the economy, and we need to put in social safety nets so that people who are feeling the pinch of the reforms can also have some support to be able to weather the hardship. So that's the next step. How do we build social safety net to help Nigerians cushion the hardship they're feeling? And then how do we grow the economy so we can create more jobs and put more money in people's pockets? These are issues that we discussed with Mr.
Yeah, that's what she said, and you know that the issues of the reforms of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been contentious. People have been talking about it. That whilst they have, you know, constituted reforms that have impoverished the people, they themselves, the politicians, have been enjoying and been spending lavishly. So. And now, here is Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala admitting that indeed the president's reforms have been good. And because of this, people are not trolling others who have never supported or been speaking against the president's reforms and economic policies so far. I'd like to take a reaction, sir.
I would say the actions of Dr. Kunjiwala is very commendable. The reforms are commendable. I have said it before. I am very impressed in the historical removal of subsidy. What was only wrong about it was the way it was done. The palliatives were not put in there to cushion the immediate hardship that the reforms will bring. But on the long term, it's a very good thing, and I think I commend the president for doing it. What was wrong was the way it was done. That's why it was very painful. You know, there are different ways injection on the buttocks of the child. You could do it in a way that the child won't even feel it. You could do it in a way that after that the dabbing becomes an incentive that could make the child forget about it. But if you administer it in a very crude and harsh manner, of course the child will cry. And that's what we've had. So I commend the economic decisions of the government. It's just how those decisions are implemented, and that's what it is. I think it's a good thing that Dr. Okonjo-Iweala has come to shore up the government. The country needs that kind of good talk from such an institutional leader, and I commend her for it. And do pray that we do more things that will make us gain this kind of international commendation. I will want the government to actually move forward to show up by Nigeria campaign. It's our only way to get out of the mess because we've now seen we're beginning to export fertilizer as Dangote said, and we're also now exporting a lot of refined petroleum product. I pray that the government encourages other distillers of petrochemical and let us have more Dangotes so that Nigeria could actually be a net exporter of finished petroleum products. I believe that's a good thing. The manufacturing sector, instead of just importing to sell, let the government take a policy of buy Nigeria. Let us have it in our law that if there's any product that we can manufacture locally before the supply can be met by imported materials. I think this will start that from cars and other manufacturing equipments. And we should not allow for frivolous exemptions that allow departments of government to actually purchase foreign made goods when there are comparable qualities available in the local Nigerian market and also manufactured locally by Nigerian industry. We should do that to encourage local manufacture of goods and services.
Dr. Ononuju, are you there? Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Okay, so I don't know if you can hear me, sir. If you can hear me, let me quickly repeat that stuff I read up very quickly. Now, according to this report by a federal lawmaker, I think Honorable Ibrahim Usman Owuyo, he represents Hadijia Owuyo and the Kapin Hausa Federal Constituency of Jigawa State. He has claimed that federal lawmakers are required to pay between 1 million naira and 3 million naira before they are allowed to present motion, bills, or petitions during plenary sessions. Now, Aoyo, widely known as Kamfani, made this revelation in a viral video where where he spoke rather in Hausa language, responding to criticism from constituents. I think perhaps his constituents were trying to criticize him and all that. I think he went berserk and said, you know what? It's not even easy for us in the first place. Can you hear me? I hear no sound, no sound. Okay. Yeah. And then he went crazy and said, no, that it's not even easy for us, the lawmakers in the first place, to even bring these bills forward because we get to pay a lot of money to get this done. And part of what he said, he rejected the notion that lawmakers write motions purely based on the needs of their people, alleging instead that legislative procedures at the National Assembly are financially driven. In fact, he says, since I went to the assembly, it's not true that someone wrote a motion for their need or others to be presented before the House. It is false, and it is there. And if at all it is there, anybody should come out and challenge me. Even the bills and petitions are paid for. You have to pay 3 million, 2 million, 1 million for it to be read in the floor of the House. After you read the bill, you have to lobby over 360 members for them to say yeah and for them to consider the bill. Aoyo also dismissed allegations that he had neglected youth empowerment in his constituency, insisting that most of his projects have directly benefited young people. Let's do away with that part of whether it benefits his people or not. I mean, that should be the problem between him and his constituents. Dr. Ononuju, I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me now, sir? Can you hear me now? Okay, I think Dr. Ononuju is having a bit of a problem. Would have to let him rejoin us again. I think that there may be a hitch. Sincere apologies. We've been trying to. Okay, Dr. Ononuju, are you there? Can
Yes,
you hear
yes, I
me?
can hear you.
Did you hear what I said?
I
Did you hear what I read out?
heard what you said.
Okay. So is it the standard that lawmakers are supposed to pay that much amount of money for them to pass bills, for their bills to be read before the House? Or
No, 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 that is not true. That is not true.
that is what he said. He said that anybody can come and challenge him that is true.
Listen,
Sir?
let us just say this is an allegation. You're never going to be able to make a general assumption based on the accusation of one man. He may be frustrated and with his mates, he may be frustrated with the clerk and those who are in charge of listings. I think he may not have is. Maybe he has an idea, and then he gets to talk to the people who will help him prepare the bill, and so that it can become, well packaged in a presentable. Might be what he's talking about. Have his own personal legislative aides. I don't think those works will come. It is possible he doesn't have legislative aides who have the capacity to do these things, and when he gets there, there are people who are well experienced in the National Assembly that might tell him, "You have an idea, come talk to us. We'll help you arrange it in such a way that it could be better presented to the House." And that could be what he's trying to refer to. But I do not think the laws require him to do that, because if he has his own legislative aides and they know what to do, he doesn't need to go beg someone else to prepare his bills for him to present it to leadership of the House or the clerk of the House. I don't think we should take this based on this first report until we go deep to understand what he's saying. But from what I'm telling you, this is how it works. You come there, you have legislative aides who, when you have an idea, will now work it into presentable ways. But if you don't have ones who are that knowledgeable, yes, there are people in National Assembly that you can take your thing to, and they will help you arrange it, organize it in such a way that it becomes a presentable. Maybe that's what he's talking about. That when he goes through that process, he then spends money. And when you spend that money, it just means you should try and hire intelligent aides who are experienced in preparing motions for you to present to your colleagues.
Well, what he stated here clearly, it's not about whether the bills are properly presented or not. He did mention that he has to pay money for those bills or anything you want to be successfully done in the House. And after paying, you also have to lobby your colleagues, 360 members, for them to accent, at least for you to get a pass mark when it's put into
That is
effect in the
true.
House.
That is true. That is true. That is the basic rudiment of legislative work. You must lobby your colleagues to see reason in regards to the new idea you're canvassing. That's what it is. It is when you're able to get people to buy into your idea, that's when you're able to build consensus. That is democracy. You don't just write and get people to think that they will follow you or agree with you. Well, no, no. You must spend time, present your bill, your ideas to your colleagues. That way, when you get them to buy into your vision, that's when you are able to build consensus. That's when it becomes a bill. It doesn't become a bill because you wrote it. No, no, no. And probably people will do you a favor because you have brought it now, they will agree. It's not true. It's not everything you bring that should be agreed to by other people. You could bring something, others will say no, this is not going to pass. This is not proper. Just like the gentleman from Plateau who is bringing a bill to superimpose the Fulani traditional leader on top of every other person. Such bills might not enjoy the buy-in of the people in that house. That kind of divisive bills, people could say no to them. So it doesn't mean that it's a must. People must follow the ideas that you bring. When you bring ideas that are divisive to the polity of our country, of course, your colleagues will be very correct to say no, they will not accept this.
Okay. All right then. So before I open the phone lines, I know we have a lot of things to say before we get into politics proper. Now, speaking about a few things before politics, I'm sure you heard what Ogade Bumahi said about the Third Mainland Bridge and the need for the Third Mainland Bridge to be refixed. Just to put it into context, the Third Mainland Bridge was fixed at the first, I think the first instance of this administration in 2023, 2024, when they got into power. It was fixed. And people are worried that again, there is another problem with the Third Mainland Bridge again. And this time around, the federal government is saying that they're budgeting about 3.8 to 3.6 trillion naira to either repair or redo it, in their words. We do it generally. And Ogade Boma, he's saying that because of say some kind problem they with the underwater areas of the underwater areas of the bridge. And people come they wonder, say, if na bridge is just repaired. Remember, it was repaired just recently. That people were plying the bridge and snapping pictures and saying that Tinubu has done well. See how fine Third Mainland Bridge is. I'm sure you saw it. So people are wondering, so when you did all those aesthetic works, did you not notice that the under areas would have had the issue that they had? Why are we budgeting a whole 3 point something trillion naira, almost 4 trillion naira, to repair the bridge again? Now, almost every other year, this bridge has been worked on. I think since 2016, I came into Lagos. I'm certain that this bridge has been worked on up to 3, 4 times since 2016. 2, 3 times within the Buhari's administration, once in this administration. And I think there's even once they announced it again. I'd like to take your thoughts and opinion on this because people are already complaining. People are already even comparing it to the cost of bridges, in other parts of the world generally. But let me take your opinion first of all, sir.
Well, one thing that's been well established about this administration, it's its penchant for bare-faced corruption. If you're going to spend public money to do the Third Mainland Bridge, it should be a bill of quantity. But if we're seeing now, like the Lagos Calabar, motorway, there are no bill of quantity. When you don't prepare the estimates and no bill of quantity, no environmental impact assessment before you even get to the site, that's why you see we will do one thing and then when we come back, we'll talk about a better assessment. They put a different kind of price. It's also possible that they might just be wanting to build an extension to the bridge. They will now not be telling you the truth about what they want to do. Who knows? It could be the fourth or another fifth mainland bridge, which could be an extension of that bridge that Tinubu wants to spend our money in Lagos for. I don't really think we know the truth of where they want to spend the money. See, if we keep quiet and they could just declare money without presenting to us a bill of quantity, that is corruption. So if he has done it the first time, done it the second time, and the National Assembly had not been able to ask or interrogate such suppositions, they will keep doing it again. And these are the things that happens when you are under state capture, as we are currently in. So for me, we have to first build a stronger position if we are to checkmate the Tinubu administration from its excesses, which I consider this unexplained and uninvoiced uh, engineering works. You just go on and embrace engineering behemoth of contracts without any bill of quantity, without any environmental impact assessment, to actually know where we are going to understand the environments where you pass through. These things are very, very important because that actually will show you where you want to do these things and what contact it does have on the environment. And not know, you just quote money on the Lagos Calabar Highway, and then later on, we're only to learn that you've not prepared a bill of quantity, just cited money, which is in itself corruption. And I think such things could constitute what I would see as impeachable offenses. The opposition needs to get strong for this government to stand up
Do you
and
think the
stop
position is not
what
strong enough?
it's
Sir,
doing.
sir, I don't know if you are aware that the APC already thinks that the position is doing too much. In fact,
The opposition is not strong.
one APC member came out the other day to accuse Pat Utomi of saying he wants to form a parallel government and not shadow government, and that's treasonable.
When,
They
listen,
said that.
that's not true.
Yeah.
Listen,
Okay.
Pat Utomi said a shadow government is what?
The man said it's the same thing. The man said that shadow government is the same thing as parallel
It's
government.
not true. It's not true. Shadow government is formed by the opposition across the world. Parallel government is the kind of one that Mechi threatened that the APC would form if Good Luck won the election. Remember? So we know about all
Yes,
that.
and Oshiba just
Of
supported that
course.
in an
So these are
interview.
the things we should remember what we said and not trying to, you know, make laws look like as if they're only meant for the other people and not for you to actually respect that within the same country space. I don't think so. This country belongs to all of us. But going back, you will see that the opposition, as I said, is not united. Every time when
Hmm.
you try, every time you try to break the ruling party, instead of solving the problem there is, and you say you want to form one new beachhead like the ADC, that weakens your position. There is no way the opposition can go to election against an incumbent like we have today in Nigeria without becoming strong. Every time new splinters, you're weakening the opposition body. For the opposition to be strong, they need to be together. They need to, none of them, the way they are bouncing about, are good to our democracy if they are not willing to come together, to unify, to unite, and be stronger when they are united for the sake of our democracy.
So how can we have that united opposition now? Because Atiku Abubakar just stated that today too,
Well,
that the
Atiku
opposition
Abubakar,
needs to be united
Atiku
to defeat
Abubakar,
Tinubu.
yes, Atiku Abubakar is the single biggest reason for a splintering of the opposition. He got,
Really?
oh yes, he got advance notice from the PDP that the opposition party will zone its presidency to the south. Instead of working within that ambit and understanding as an elder statesman, no, he starts trying to build another opposition party called the ADC. That in itself splinters the opposition. So this is what Atiku has been doing. This is not proper. Instead of respect the right of the pendulum of presidential platform that have been in the north for 8 years, for that pendulum now to swing correctly to the south, Atiku would not allow that. He will want to run, even when he knows it is the position at the time of the south. And when he continues to form these things, he will have a platform for just himself. He weakens your opposition. Every time you form a splinter, you weaken your body of opposition. This is the problem. This is the reasons why I've told you Atiku has singularly been greatly responsible for the damaging of the opposition platform in Nigeria's democracy.
So what does the opposition need to do now? Because there's need to work. Since you said that they're not united, what do they need to do?
They have to start now. And that's why you saw Peter Obi was tactically talking to all the platforms of the opposition, cascade. And that's the right thing to do with an eye to bringing
But he
all
was
of them
also
together.
campaigning with the ADC. He
Listen,
tactically campaigned for the ADC yesterday when he spoke. I'm sure you saw that
there is
statement
nothing
yesterday.
wrong with
He
that.
was campaigning for it.
That is just to build confidence in the elements that are in the ADC. But at the end of the day, you have to bring the ADC, bring what he has of the Labour Party, join them with the PDP, and you have a formidable. And then you have someone like Mr. Erifai with his group. And if any other person will come in, that's the way you make it formidable, you make it strong, then you go to election. If you go to election splintered, you're not going to go anywhere. You will not go anywhere with an incumbent that doesn't seem to be respectful of the rule of law, with an incumbent that wants to get in there. The right thing is don't run away from your challenges. No, strong societies do not run away from their history. They embrace it, correct the flaws, and move on. So embrace the opposition as one, correct the flaws that are inside, and move on. If it is to someone like we can come together as a body, expel him from your party. Any crisis, go to court and deal with it. You have time and move on. Don't run away from crisis and start opening 1 million fronts. It doesn't help. No. Stay in one place, decide as a single body, remove the crisis that you have, deal with it. Don't run away from it. Okay? Crises don't go away when you run away from them. They go away when you deal with them squarely, and they can deal with them. Right now, they're beginning to find the strength to speak with one voice. And I think that's the way to go about this. And that's probably what you have from President Goodluck. So we have to beg the leaders like Atiku to stop splintering the opposition platform. Let it come together. Don't be forming ADC, form SDP. No, look towards bringing them together. That's the right thing to do. Splintering them do not help the opposition strength. It does task your energies and challenge your capacity to speak with one voice. Democracy.
Okay. All right. So before we get back to political conversation again, let's get back to a bit of
Oh
security.
yes.
There's a latest report by the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons that says that about 70% of the 11 million illegal arms and light weapons in the entire West Africa are seen in Nigeria. That is, if we get 11 million of weapon illegal weapon for West Africa, 70% of them did for Nigeria. How risky is that for our country, sir?
Well, it was done purposely by the Buhari administration. I don't know the wisdom that informed him to allow people to bring in weapons here. He thought those weapons will come in and help the Fulani militia groups to take over the country. I think that was where he was planning to go. Buhari just wanted them to take over the country since the National Assembly to cede land to him. So he thought they could just take over the land on their own. And in allowing that policy to run through, he made a mess of the entire country. And today, the country has imploded. Security wise, we don't know where to start, how to stop. It is just by the grace of some kind of prayer that we are being able to hold ourselves. I also believe that the government has told this army to change their previous Buhari styled attitude. No, you're not doing anybody a favor by looking the other way, whereas militias run the country aground. That's not the best. That's not the best because the fundamental objective of government is to protect the properties and secure the lives of the citizens. That is the primary and fundamental objective of government. Fail to secure the life of the citizens and also protect their properties, you have failed as a government. And that, I believe, is where Buhari failed. And that's why I condemn him. Buhari was everything that a president should not be. I think we hope we learn to remember what the current National Security Advisor said that under Buhari's government, they destroyed the institutions of state and then bankrupted the country, both economically and also sociologically. I know we can rebuild because it's.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me? I think there's an interference. I think that perhaps there's an interference in your call. Maybe it's from the phone call or something. I hope that we get that cleared up very soon. Let me see if I can get that footage and then quickly play it and then we'll move on. Just to state it. Okay, so just to also state earlier today, UNISA Tanko launched the obedient, new obedient movement mandate, if I'd have to call that. And I wanted to see if I can speak with him on that so that we can address that if it's even going to be workable in the first place at all, in terms of what Mr. Tanko said today and what they are trying to do and work on, that as announced by Unisa Tanko earlier today. But then let's just hope that the network will get clear again to have him rejoin us in the studio. It's just unfortunate that we keep having these issues. But let me go back to that story I was trying to get about Atiku Abubakar, what he had to say. So former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has called on Nigeria's opposition parties to unite and put their house in order to reclaim the country in the 2027 general elections. Now, this comes as the Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum declared that the opposition is currently in disarray and stressed the need for a united front to challenge the ruling All Progressives Congress APC. And just like I had already said to Dr. Katch. Now, media advisor to Atiku Abubakar Paul Ebe told Vanguard in Abuja that the opposition must prioritize unity and patriotism to provide an alternative leadership capable of addressing Nigeria's socio-economic and political challenges. He commended the Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum for their patriotic instances. Now people have also been accusing Peter Obi of a bit of a political instability. Is he with the Labour Party now, or he's with the ruling party now? Or he's with ADC right now? Where exactly is he now? Waiting people they tell us. So where you there, Oga? Where you did? Where you did now? We could even know, because this is what he had to say in his
Big
last
party,
outing
we do an election.
that got people talking
After election, you
about.
must tell them. If you
Go
forget, they
ahead.
replace the person.
Very correct.
So, which one am I going to contest?
Better.
As you know, because of the problem they have,
I hear you.
some of us who are leaders in the opposition, have a president
Can you
adopted
hear me now?
ADC. But I can tell you, before the election, more will join. More people will come together. Because the opposition needs to come together. We are not coming together to wrestle power. If it is wrestle power, can't be to be out of it. If we are not going to use that power to change the fortune of this country, please count me out of it. I'm not looking for political position. I'm not desperate to be president of Nigeria. I am desperate to see Nigeria change. I live in a changed place. And I tell people that. I lived in a place that work. I've been to schools. People have asked me questions. Peter, why did you go to all these schools? I went to them because I wanted to know where those people who went there had different brain. Found out they didn't have brain. So as we advance now, we have adopted ADC for 2027 election. We are still battling to take over Labour because that's the right thing. There was nothing wrong. What was wrong in Labour is that we find out that people abandoned what we were trying to build into transaction. It became a mess. So that was it. There's nothing wrong. That's the only thing that is wrong. We don't want to do transactional politics. I was offered a lot by this government. That could have been anything. But that's not what it is. So that's it. Somebody asked about being fair. My sister, I live in this country. This country must change.
Yes. Amen. Amen.
Yes, amen.
Bad behavior, uncountry behavior, rascality.
All right, sir. So that's it there, and that conversation of P2B is what has got people talking, sir. I don't know if you can hear me, sir. Sorry, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
Hello, sir. All right, sir. Okay, so that's the
I can,
video that's got people talking, and then yes, that's the video that's got people talking and confused a bit on P2B's affiliation, whether it is to Labour Party or to ADC, as it is as things are right now.
Well, what Peter have said, which is a position which all of us agreed on, is he is with every platform of opposition. And the ADC is a work in progress of a platform that can be used in future being an opposition platform. But the ADC, like the PDP, his people, like all other platforms and Labour Party, are platforms of opposition that will need to come together for them to be useful to the democracy. If they are still split as they currently are, it's of no use to Peter Obi. They're of no use to anybody. You can see the ADC. What Article thought it would be is not what it is, because he said that a lot of governors told him that they will come and join him. They're not. Tinubu is not a good Lord Jonathan. You can see Tinubu's invitation of Tambuwal, invitation of Emeki Hediohan. They arrange the conversations with David Mark. That tells you Tinubu is not a good Lord Jonathan. So uh, nobody is very sure what tomorrow will be. What I will advise is that what you have now as opposition platforms may actually be much, much stronger than the dreams you think you want to build. They may not blossom. Yes, they may not blossom. Because what I, in a post, when someone asks me, what do I think about the crisis now between the Tinubu administration and foundation members of the APC who are now leaving to go to the ADC? I told them this is a family problem. All the people who formed the APC as a strategy platform for taking power from Goodluck Jonathan are suddenly now fighting themselves. That is the truth. Everybody you see fighting themselves, being invited, were all foundation members of the APC. From Tambuwal to Atiku, these were all founding members of the APC. So if that APC could be founded and use it to remove Goodluck Jonathan, it's suddenly now imploding in a way that Tinubu is inviting some of his mates to interrogate them in regards to their financial dealings in the past. That just tells you that Tinubu is not good Lord Jonathan. So these things can take a very, very interesting turns, like we are seeing. I condemn, such barefaced, you know, pursuit of members of the opposition. But as I said earlier,
Like what's
it
happening to
shows you that
Tambo and the rest of them.
Tinubu
Yeah. Mm.
is you. Don't forget how this particular war started. It was Tambowal and Ihediohan. They called
Oh yeah. Network. Network. All right. Sincere apologies for that network glitch again.
to challenge. They brought back the House of War to challenge Goodluck's removal of subsidy. That was when the internal implosion in the PDP started. They now started that. Tambuwal became a very strong member of that growing caucus that went on to remove President Goodluck Jonathan, for them now to usher in the APC administration headed by President Buhari, which went on now to produce Tinubu. Yes, a lot of people have left the APC, including Tambuwal, Atiku earlier, and then some other have now left to join them. And they say they are forming the APC as a platform, a ADC. And then Tinubu started going after them. So that's why I told somebody that this looks like a local family case of the foundational APC founding family now fighting amongst themselves. Nigerians will just be watching from aside. President Goodluck will be watching from aside. Those who took power, I mentioned them. You remember them? These were all who they were. They formed the NPDP, Amechi Tambuwa, and Atiku at the head, remove Goodluck, brought in Buhari. People will ask how market, how market. That's what we're looking. That's why I say this is a family case. It doesn't concern the larger Nigerian society. As police will ask you when you tell police that Boko Haram kidnapped cultists. Police will tell you it is a family case. So we are
They will
watching.
settle each other later on.
Yes, we are watching. This is just a family case. The original foundational APC members are now fighting themselves. So for me, I think that is very interesting. We are watching. And as I said earlier, Tinubu is not Jonathan.
Mhm. Okay. All right. I'd like to open phone lines for Nigerians to join us to jumping on this conversation as fast as possible so that we take some reaction of Nigerians to the conversation. However, there is still that fear. Today, I don't know if you realize that today, Eunice Atanko announced that the Obedient Movement has launched a new operation, which is tagged MERD, that is, Make Election Rigging Impossible. And they intend to have people across all local government areas to sensitize people on continuous voter registration, on the need to protect their votes, on everything, on the need to follow their votes, and those kind of issues. I'd like you to speak on that briefly while we open the phone line, sir.
I think that's a very good
Do you see?
development.
Do you see the obedient movement alone even driving this successfully? That's the worry most people have.
I think it is too early to start getting involved in political activities since the time has not yet been kicked open. So it would be wrong to think any organization will, as a body, start getting into anything that could get people to say that they are jumping the gun. So, yes, I have seen private initiatives aimed at making voter registration good and smooth and seamless. I've also seen people preaching about how to improve electoral reforms. But I've not seen any institutional move by government and its agencies or even the National Assembly to move towards gives me some real concern. Electoral reforms cannot be done by
So what do we
members of the
do?
public. No, it has to come from internal legislative activities. It's not what people on the street can dream of. They need to have people inside the legislature working with them to be able to advance electoral reforms.
So what do we do? That's the question many would ask. But let me open the phone lines because it's a cause for worry. We cannot afford to be where we were in 2023 again. And a lot may have thought that, according to Unisado, he said that the reason they are starting this early for the sensitization, if possible, especially for continuous voter registration, is so that what happened in 2023, where they did not have enough agents across the local government, will not happen again. That's one of it. But just like you said, electoral reform is very necessary. What do we do? Since we can't force these guys in the National Assembly to do the needful, what do we do? But phone lines are open, people. Please kindly jumping on the conversation 0817 That's the number to call 0817 Or you click on the link by the pinned post. I just pinned the post right now on the comment section. Click on that link and it will bring you straight to the studio to join us in the conversation. I have TY Danjuma with me. TY, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Precious. Good evening, Dr. Katch. Um, Thank you for being at the platform today. Now, I have a couple of questions, but I'll just make it one. Just listening to you, it looks like you are not quite optimistic as to the approach of the opposition to all the politicking and all the acts of decimation and factionalization occasioned by the APC government. We see what they have been doing. We heard Peter Obi saying that they have made passes at him, offered him all kinds of stuff, We see the attacks on his person, on people who are close to him, on his business, and attempt to demarket him and his character. We see members of the opposition, being harangued, for whatever excuse, rightly or wrongly. And we see the desperation of the APC in terms of the various policies that is taking, its propaganda machine being upped. So if you put all those things together and many others, what do you think? Do you think the opposition is properly positioned or is doing enough to be able to counter all these things we're seeing that is thrown at them by the ruling party? Do you think that the opposition is positioned in such a way as to be able to stand and challenge the APC ruling government? Thank you.
All right, thank you, TY. Can you go ahead and respond to him, sir?
Yes, 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 yes. The opposition are not currently ready. The opposition has to do one thing first: synergize themselves into a single force. And that's why I said, if you keep splintering the opposition, as Atiku is doing, it will not be proper. That's why when they went to talk to President Goodluck, that is some set of other Northerners and the PDP also, what he told them is the same thing I'm saying to you. Go and unite the opposition as a single entity. Is the only way to fight this. Because if you look at the fact that in the last election, the combined vote of the opposition far outweigh what the incumbent used in returning itself to power. You would know very well that when the opposition come together, we can get there. And they can only come together if leaders are able to tell each other the truth. As you're seeing now, a lot of leaders are telling Atiku in the north, we want Peter. You said no, you must run. They left him and they went to President Goodluck Jonathan. So that now tells him that there are better options for the country to take to be able to solve its lingering crisis of lack of unity within the opposition rank. So the right thing is to,
So, sir, if I have to add something very quickly to what you just said, maybe to his question, because he just mentioned good luck, Jonathan, and there was a leak, perhaps a revelation that was made earlier in the week that the reason Atiku Abubakar delayed his induction or his launch to ADC is because of the movement of good luck, Jonathan, back to PDP, and that he's considering what would happen if Goodluck comes back to PDP. So he had to stay back on, resist back from going into ADC or fully launching himself into ADC. Do you think that that makes any sense? Does
yes.
it make any sense?
Yes, it makes
Oh,
sense.
wow.
It makes sense. It gets you to understand that he understands that even the other faction of leaders do not trust him. Instead of coming to talk to him, they still went to talk to another Southerner. And that Southerner is Goodluck Jonathan. So any which way, either Peter Obi or President Jonathan. Nobody's talking to him. He's the only one throwing himself in there. You cannot make yourself president if the people that you actually expect to support you don't trust you. So those people he is talking about are speaking to Peter Obi and speaking to President Jonathan. So the right thing for him to do is to understand the signaling and withdraw. Because the governors he said promised that they'll come and join him in ADC, refused to join him. But those governors are willing to go speak to President Goodluck Jonathan. You see, the governors are speaking to President Goodluck Jonathan and they are speaking to former Governor Peter Obi, and they're not speaking to him. He's the only one throwing himself right in the ring. So it start to tell you, okay, maybe since nobody trusts none of these groups that come to you, I think it makes sense that you just respectfully understand. This is called coded signaling to him. They didn't come to him. When he refused to go down for Peter Obi, they went to Goodluck Jonathan to show you that none of those power blocks are willing to support him for presidency. They think let the South take it to 2031, then it will be their own turn, the Northerners themselves. So what he's doing right now is not proper. Yes, I know there is desperation because of age. He's now 80 years, but then it's not a must that he must be president. He's been on it for 33 years. So if he didn't work, no problem. Be the statesman, support someone else, and let us move forward. So that's where we are right now. And that's why you've seen Atiku now understands that the political class have rejected him. And there's no need him pushing himself, trying to force himself upon the process. That's what we should look at in calculating what's going on. Whether you take it to Peter Obi or you take it to President Goodluck Jonathan, it just shows you that the power blocks in the north do not trust and are not willing to support Atiku Abubakar's presidential bid.
All right, thank you so much. CY, would that be all? CY Danjuma, would that be all? Hello? All right, TY has left us. Let's speak to someone else very quickly. I got Mr. Najumo here before I go to Mr. Biodun Najumo. Good evening and welcome. Mr. Najumo, are you there? Abiodun Najumo, are you there? Okay. All right, Mop, good evening and welcome.
Yeah, good evening, Precious, and good evening, Dr.
Welcome, Mr.
Yeah,
Mop.
Dr. Kachi.
Welcome.
I'm going to
Thank you very
infuse
much.
my I'm going to infuse my questions, together, but a little bit different. So let me ask you. The first question is about what Babatia Lawa came and insinuated about 3 days ago. Well, the statement that he made is not an insinuation. That the nepotism, Tinubu, his parent right now is worse than Buhari. We know, Buhari was, meted a high nepotism. So in comparison, which one is worse than, from your own narrative? I mean, I have my information, but I'm going to hear from a reliable source. So having said that, the next one is about P2B. We had this conversation yesterday with Precious about Peter be not doing everything by himself. He needed PR people like you who are capable, to be stationed in different places, not just a PRO person, all this in the present government is doing. He need an instant rebuttal, somebody who's going to stand there whenever they accuse him of doing something or whatever, I mean, all over the country, not just one, not you, even at all, maybe to go to CNN. I know it's a foreign country, whatever, but it's way of broadening his opinion because you have a lot of people in diaspora, which I am right now, that are supporting him. So can you speak on those 2 points, please? Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, let me, in regards to that, when we started, me and Peter, with about 10 months to the last election, didn't have a lot of talking heads. It was me, Peter Obi, and Doinu Kupe, just three of us then in the PDP. And a lot of people didn't believe in what we were doing. So we now devised a new strategy, a strategy where the candidate has to be exposed, just like it is in the United States. And it became very, very effective in that P2B will speak to the people, no more to speak through a second person or a third person. No, he will talk directly. I think he's been very successful. The mistakes that he has made along the way, he has learned and he has corrected himself. I think it's a beautiful something, knowing very well what our country is. The reply is far more valuable when he replies in the first person. It is a strategy that I like. But then the other parts of having other talking heads to clap and support what he's saying. Yes, we are doing that, but we also want you to understand the government is also targeting us. In the last election, if it's not P2B, they will try to block us. The people networks who will take money and purposely will not call P2B's people. I know that. It happened in the last election. That is a fact. And if you now look at P2B doesn't have, ministries or departments of government that can give them big adverts. When you give somebody a big advert, using a bank to give them big advert, using a department of government to give them big adverts, they now see that as something they need to pay back the favors for. And that's part of what worked against us. But we are lucky that we got the public to join us, and suddenly what we were doing became an organic organization. Yes, it's not easy to happen. They came against us, tried to block us, tried to even blackmail those who speak for us, tried to stifle our voices in the media. That is a fact. That happened. That happened. That's truth. They were using the NBC to stop us when we speak. They will try to block me, try to block Dele Farutuni. This is a fact. This is a fact. So that was why we now had to use the social media to publicize what Peter Obi was doing. When the regular media were not there for us, they were mostly for government. And you need to understand this is how these things happen. That was how our organization became, an organic organization, because the government just will not. Even the youths who were with us, the government made sure they hunted them. You saw that. And some of those who were with us were arrested for just nothing. You saw even how that boy who that they welcomed Peter Obi in Lagos and stood in the middle of the road. You saw how he was later arrested, thrown into prison. Those are the ones that you see. The ones you don't see are plenty. I speak from personal. It's not very easy when you come from nowhere and you're fighting a government that is so ruthless that will even go out of its way to undermine the opposition parties. As you're seeing, you hear what Peter is saying. The government is interested in undermining Labour Party. The government is interested in directly on their own stifling any growth of opposition shoots. It's real. They're not passive about it. They are intentional about it. And we're seeing it every day and we feel it every day. But despite that, we thank the youth who took it upon themselves to embrace us in an organic way and started giving us more publicity than we could ever purchase. We're grateful to tell them this is the only way, working this way organically, that's the only way we can take back our country. There are no two ways about it. If you wait on the regular media, our message will not be out there. So we tell the youth we're with them. They must do what they must do to take back their country for themselves, for the sake of what they own for tomorrow.
All right. So, Bob, has he addressed your question, Mr. Bob?
Yeah, about the
Mr. Bob?
nepotism, the one between Tinubu and the, I mean, because
Okay. So,
it's not
yeah.
helping the country. So
Well,
what you say about that?
the nepotism is natural. The nepotism is natural. Let me tell you, like South Africa. In South Africa, you don't compare Tinubu in nepotism and Buhari are not the same. Buhari engaged in treasonous nepotism. Tinubu's nepotism is just that of positions and sharing of a headship of national institutions, and but Buhari's own went further to even engage genocide. That's what Tinubu is not yet doing. Buhari extended the nepotism into genocidal nepotism, in which Fulanese from across West Africa were asked to come into Nigeria, and they were allowed to come with guns. Those guns was what they now started using to start taking land from indigenous people across the country. Whereas the government asked the security services to look the other way and stay hands. That kind of nepotism was historical. It has never happened in our country before, So yes, it's not just trying to say that he was doing that against 5%. It was like the issue of Yes, they arrested the Jews, but nobody said anything because plenty of us wearing Jews. Then they came for the trade unions. People kept quiet because they were not members of the trade unions. Then they now came for the liberals, where they say it's a very small group. By the time they come for you, there'll be no one else standing to save you. That's what happened with Buhari. First he said it was a 5%, then gradually, and they started taking people out to the extent that even though Tinubu was their member, they brought their war to the southwest. They tried taking over the Oyo Forest Reserve. And when Mr. Sunday Igboho tried to raise his vigilante against that, you saw what happened. Buhari came on Sunday Igboho. The same thing happened in the east, where Nnamdi Kanu and his own gang also tried to raise their ESN to protect their forests on their own. You saw what Buhari did with murderous efficiency. The same thing happened in places like Taraba State. It happened also in Adamawa, in the Newman area, where the Bachamas were being slaughtered. It happened also in southern Kaduna. We saw the industrial scale ethnic cleansings. It happens against the Hausas in the Hausa states of Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto. They were killing people in places in Katsina like Basari, in Musa, in Kankara, in places as far as Bungudu, going straight to Maru, stretching down from the Gusau area to places like Dangobe, to Ensadau, to even the border towns of Malele, got into Sokoto, killed people in Guroyo. It was massive the way they killed in the Benue Valley. So these are not the kind of nepotism that Tinubu is doing. No, Tinubu's nepotism is nepotism of Buhari's nepotism was total, but land upon total war. That's why I say that Buhari engaged
All
in
right, thank you.
treasonable conduct
Thank
that
you.
are punishable under our laws.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Moop. I guess that addresses your question. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, I've got someone on the line. Thank you. Hello, good evening and welcome.
Good evening.
Yes, welcome, sir.
Schönen guten Abend.
Good evening.
The hair and all. I don't know his name actually, but I just want to greet
His
him.
name is Dr. Katch Ononuju. Go ahead.
Dr. Katch
Mm.
Ononuju. Dr. Katch Ononuju, my name is Joe. I like to call myself Joe. And I am also a psychiatrist, actually, in psychiatrist in Gala, that is in Switzerland. And my specialty is in human behavior, how do you say it in English? Human behavior therapy, something like that. I'll try to explain it to you in English. I'm living very long time here, so my English sometimes always mixed with German. Now, let me try to break this down for the hair and the doctor there on your studio. And I think he knows Peter Obi personally, am I right?
Yes, it does.
It does. Okay, good. Now, I'm going to tell him something that I would like him to address it to your viewers today, this evening, and also try to take something from what I want to say to him, because he's a doctor, you should understand what I'm trying to say. Now, when someone says on the television, publicly, more and more times, I am not desperate to be a president. I am desperate to see that the country works. Why should you vote such person as a president for the country Nigeria? That is my question.
That's your question to the guest. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll let him know. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. He said when somebody has said, not once, but time and time again, that he is not desperate to be president, but he is desperate to see Nigeria work. Well, why should Nigerians vote for such a person for the position of a president?
It's a way to tell you that I want to be president but I'm not desperate enough for us to now bring down the house so that I will rule. I'm not desperate enough for us to destroy the rule of law so that somebody can acrobatically announce me as president in the middle of the night. I'm not desperate enough for the presidency that you have to switch off the server. And when they ask you why did the server go off, you say there was a glitch that undermines the electoral process. You're not desperate enough that people should go on the streets of Lagos and because for you just to be president. That's what it means. Okay? You don't have to I hold it against him. If he says he's not desperate to become president, it means that he doesn't want to be you to go commit vote on his behalf for him to become president. No, 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 that's not what it is. He doesn't want to become president to put himself forward in a way that he undermines his own, reasoning and his understanding of right and wrong. You don't need to murder people. You don't need to desperately commit voter suppression. You don't need to, rig elections to have yourself declared president. All those are towards becoming a president. That's what he means. So I think you should
All right,
understand
thank you.
that figure of speech that he is willing to become president only through the regular and due process. That's what he means.
All right, thank you. Hello, good evening. Welcome. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, welcome, please. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Tony Ebo,
Okay.
calling from Los Angeles.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm calling to speak regards to this discussion that's been
Just go
going
ahead.
on.
Just go ahead and ask your question, please. Just go ahead. You're on the line. Go on, please.
Okay, very good. Okay, very good. So, okay, my take here is that we have to work on the electoral reform. That is the major thing because no matter what we do, if we don't fix the electoral system, we don't remove Yakubu from that place, INEC, the same thing will happen. In fact, what they're going to do now, they're going to do more than they did last time.
All right.
I was in Nigeria last time and I voted. I was there, I counted the vote. I was one who took from my ward. I took the INEC officials, the police and everything, all of them, to the collation center that very night by 2 a.m. And then the coalition issue is not going to work. Atiku is not ready to back down. The only vehicle I think Obi has now is Labour Party. We don't need this coalition. Everybody there, most of them are all criminals. The people who voted Obi the last time will vote again. We won the election last time, and we'll win again.
Right.
People are ready to vote to change the system because people are not happy of what's going on in Nigeria. We're all fed up. Insecurity everywhere, corruption everywhere.
Thank you. Thank you. You've made your point. Thank you so much.
You talk about the bridges. No, it's really upsetting. I'm really upset about this thing. Honestly.
Sorry.
You talk about the Third Mainland Bridge. Look at how much they're putting on that. I mean, are we fools? We're not fools. This country belongs to all of us.
Thank
I
you.
go to Nigeria every year, and I'm not happy how it is. Every people are calling me for money. You think if they're comfortable, they'll be calling for money? They're not. We have to put a stop to this rubbish.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, Miss Dr. Ononuju, I don't know if you can respond to that, especially considering that he said something about,
Yes, what I will tell him is very
people
simple.
voted for Peter Obi will vote again. But people like Babacha Lawa who supported Peter Obi said that their parameters for checking who they would vote for this time has changed. So he may not support Peter Obi again in 2027. So that means
There is nothing
Peter Obi
wrong
may
with
not
that.
be.
Mr. Babachi Lawal is welcome to have his views. Mr. Babachi Lawal joined us at as towards the tail end. He wasn't part of us in the PDP when we started it. He came from the APC, so he joined us only when we have ratcheted up our momentum. And so we thank him for coming to work with us. And we also want him to don't write us off, that we will also be able to calibrate the same momentum that he saw and then decided to say, yes, this momentum he liked and he liked to work with it. That's not wrong. So he now is in the ADC. Well, I wish him well. I still see him as part of the APC internal foundation leaders who are now having their second thoughts. You can hear what he said. He was a member of the APC. Same thing with El. They have been publishing news to say that we won the election, that Peter Obi won the election. And then they themselves in APC did acrobatics and asked us to go to court. So that's what it is. But then
So
that's a
reacting
story
to
for another day.
the last caller's question about
Yes.
mm, reacting to his question about the fact that many people in the opposition are all criminals, in his words, and that without electoral reform, that I mean, no need. I mean, that there is no likelihood for a better election, and without the removal of Mahmoud Yakubu. What's your response, sir?
I agree with him. The country is currently under state capture. But then we cannot keep quiet because it's currently under capture. We must continue to add our voice, put our voice. You can see when we raise our voice in regards to the airline and passengers mishap, the government listened. So we must continue to raise our voice to issues and for them to be able to listen to what we are saying. I have no doubt. I tell people that despair is not an option. We must continue to work and demand for a better country. I think this is the best way for us to win at the end of the day. We cannot stop demanding for a better country. We cannot stop working for a better country. We cannot stop, you know, cooperating with those who are inside the National Assembly. That's the right thing to do. It is not true to say that nothing is going on. Something is going on behind the scenes. We worked the other time, and then we got an amendment to the constitution that was signed by President Buhari, and that was how the law now requires authentication of a voter before the person can be allowed to vote. So we are also working with our allies in National Assembly to see what we will be able to get going forward. We are doing something. We are doing something. I agree. If we
All
leave
right.
the Electoral Act as it is, nothing good will come from it. So we need to work hard to make sure something happens so that we can now have an Electoral Act, so amendment that we can think that yes, if we vote, the vote will be automatically transmitted. But you also have to understand the incumbent is afraid of the people's vote. That's why they wouldn't want to do a lot of these things. But we cannot stop from demanding for a better electoral, law to be able to help our democracy move to the next step.
Hello, good evening, and welcome.
Yeah, good evening, Precious
Yes, sir.
and Dr. Cash. Yeah, my question to Doctor is, does he think that if Jonathan is coming out on ballot, does he think that Obi will still be on a different ballot? And again, I hear people talk about PDP as a channel. Do you think PDP is worthy to use when you have the like of Wike? Even if Wike, if they kick Wike out of PDP, Wike has people he has deflated into that PDP, and there's nothing they can do about it. I don't think opposition will be talking about using PDP as of this moment.
Okay.
So that's my question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. So, the possibility of Peter Obi or PDP making any headway, or Peter Obi making any headway in PDP with a yes on weekend in it. And then there's also this question about loyalty. I've heard before that just like Peter B said he wasn't going to initially contest against Jonathan, that he had also mentioned that if Jonathan will be on the ballot, but he won't contest. He'll step down for him. I don't know how true that is. But let me take this other caller so I'll let you react to both of them. Hello, good evening and welcome.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening. Love to hear your lovely voice. Welcome. What's your name and where are you calling
Thank
from?
you. My name is Patricia. I'm calling from Austria.
You're welcome, Patricia. Go ahead.
I just want to contribute to. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Very well. Go ahead. I can hear you. Go ahead, please, Patricia. Oh dear. Okay. Certainly not my network. Maybe yours. Hello, Patricia. Are you there? Okay. Maybe you should go ahead and respond, sir. Till she gets back.
Yes. The issue of President Jonathan is a dicey thing. All I will say is the signs we saw this week don't look very good. That means President Tinubu's and his EFCC cannot be trusted to leave the EFCC out of anybody who thinks could be a threat. And I don't think it would be a good thing for those who are thinking of luring President Jonathan to run, for them not to think what Tinubu can do. You know, Tinubu is not Jonathan. Tinubu is not polite. Tinubu can simply reopen EFCC files on Patience Jonathan. I don't trust Tinubu. I know one of the problems that President Jonathan had the other time was when Buhari and co. and their EFCC were harassing his wife. So I have thought about that privately on my own, and I told myself, this Tinubu's regime, they're not very, very clean, and nobody will want to harass the president's wife, and the president will like it. That might just be a very polite way, to predict what Tinubu could do. And as we're just thinking about it, they started inviting Tambuwal, started inviting and making headlines, started inviting David Mark. That tells you the EFCC can be unleashed on anybody that President Tinubu thinks he doesn't like that person's face. So that's, for me, it's a very, very serious issue. So whoever is thinking of going to ask President Goodluck to run should think. Now that Tinubu is beginning to call EFCC out, I don't trust Tinubu. I don't trust Tinubu.
Okay.
Revised it.
All right. Let me speak to Mr. Edwin and then we'll call it today. I know time is fast spent already. Hello, Edwin. Good evening and welcome. Let's have you wrap up with a question. Welcome.
Yeah, Precious, good evening. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How
Yeah,
about you?
Dr. Ononuju, I'm pleased to see you today. I've been asking Precious when you will be in her studio, and I'm pleased to see you. I have been particularly delighted with the way you go about answering all our um, political questions, and you seem to have an in-depth knowledge of the Nigerian political terrain. And we are grateful when we hear insights and coincides answers and responses to questions we ask. But my take today isn't about a question to you. It's about an advice to Peter Obi. You know, we seem not to have made any headway in the core north as regards Peter Obi. If he is to have a shot at the presidency, as I have always suggested, to even Precious on this platform, we need to have an inroad into the core north. I think Peter Obi should set up social media network in all the languages that applies to the core north, so that beginning from now, we can get in touch with the grassroots supporters. There are so many people who are obedient in the core north, but these people are not as advanced as those of us in the south, regarding the use of social media and every other part of our social life. So we need to start that. If we do that, I can bet you we can harvest all the votes of the youth, those who are aligned with what we think the Nigerian Federation should be. They are there in the north. And then we should even talk about the middle belt. The middle belt are all for Peter Obi. If a free, fair, and credible election is conducted today. So you are sometimes in touch with Mr. Peter Obi, and you know him too well. Why wouldn't you advise him on this line of thought to tell him, look, let's set up, social media, let's engage the youth there. If Peter Obi wouldn't give them millions or something, buy them laptops, buy them so that they can, the message could be translated in their dialects, so that even the uneducated, the educated, the well-informed, and everything, they should get into this project. If we lose that in 2027, Nigeria is doomed, as I've always said. We want to go back home. I've been here in the UK since 1998. I always want to go home every year, but for the past years, I've not been there because of fear, And then lastly, what are we doing to reform INEC? Like what the last speaker said, we can go all about doing all that we want to do. What are the civil society groups doing to make sure INEC is reformed? Like what you pointed out just this night, Tinubu is not Jonathan. Tinubu wouldn't fold his hands, and then you think all the political coalitions, he will allow them to have a free reign. He wouldn't do that. He's not Jonathan. If we don't reform INEC, we might just be building castles in the air. We will go nowhere. Tinubu will come in 2027, write the electoral result, and nothing will happen. Heavens will not fall if people like Wike are around him. As you and I know, they've captured the judiciary, they've captured the security system, the electoral body. These are organizations and bodies that are at their beck and call. So that's exactly what I want to talk to you about, so that you at least can throw more light on this and let Peter Obi be aware, all those that matters in obedience and all the coalition groups. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Edwin. All right, sir. Let me let you respond to his question as we wrap up, sir. Go
Okay.
ahead, sir.
I can tell you that what you're saying is happening already. If you notice, Peter Obi is now working with Mr. El-Rufai. In 2022, we didn't have time. We had only 8 months to election to do what we did. Today, we have better time. So we started on time. We can negotiate and put those things in place. In the core north, yes. The core north was the people who supported Atiku and also who presented Ahmed Lawal. So the core north were not at that time in 2022-23 listening to allowing a southerner to run for election. And those are the core north people as represented by the CPC who have now left the APC. And that's why I told you the APC is currently enjoying an internal family case. But now, from the core north, we have El-Rufai. He's with Peter. He agrees that Peter, that the presidency should be zoned to the south. A lot of other leaders of the core north from inside the PDP are the ones who refuse to follow Atiku. They are speaking to Peter Obi. Yes, they've agreed that the presidency should come to the south. And also those who also didn't go to Atiku that went now to President Goodluck. So that tells you there is an overwhelming support of leaders from the core north to support Peter Obi. That is one. Two, the issue of the jingles you talked about, we have enough time. We've started doing that already, and we started doing interpretations in different languages. We have time. The problem with the last time was we didn't have time. Today we have time. We're trying to cross the T's, tip the I's. And I can promise you, today is much better than yesterday. We have more time today to do what we didn't do yesterday. We will do them. We shall try the best that we can. Of course, it's a national thing. No one Superman is doing this. What we ran was an organic campaign So could you imagine an organic campaign for 8 months? We shall now have a much longer organic campaign going into 2 years. I advise you, I bet you, I assure you, what you see today will be a much, much better thing than what Mr. Babachila that made him feel so impressed that he now jumped to join the bandwagon. I bet you will be much better this time around.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Ononuju, for obliging us once again. It's always a pleasure to have you here to explain the situations to us and give us your insights in everything happening in our country. We appreciate you deeply. Thank you so much, sir.
I thank you very much for having me. I will always be happy to
Thank you.
come. Just take that from.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It means a lot to us. On behalf of all of us, let me say a big thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And God bless you. Do enjoy the rest of your evening. And sorry for keeping you out for so late. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Good night, sir. Good night.
No problem.
And to everyone here, thank you so much. If you've not subscribed to this platform, please do well to go subscribe. Like, share this video so that it can get to as many people as possible. I love you guys. I appreciate you in all of this. Don't forget to protect your mental health because it is very, very important. I'll see you again tomorrow evening, God willing.